Hey, hi everyone. This is Shantha here. I hope all of you are doing great. So, I came across this book on Bharatanatyam called Shall We Dance, and it has about 25 chapters. And I thought it's good to introduce and talk to the author to understand more. So, stay with me and let's learn more about all these 25 chapters which is in the book. Hi everyone, Shantha here. As I was going through this book on Bharatanatyam, I thought it's good to talk to the author and understand a little more. So here we welcome Ram. Ram, please welcome.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing, can't be better than what I'm doing here.
Hope you had a great day so far.
Good, except the traffic jam, can't complain.
Okay. So I was going through this book on Bharatanatyam. I thought it's good to talk a little more because it has got so much of details and so much of hard work has gone in. So let me understand a little more on each chapter.
Sure.
So I just want to understand what led you to write this book on Bharatanatyam.
Okay, very long question, but I'll try and keep it to the bare minimum.
Sure.
This has been a journey of the last 7 years. I started visiting temples, took some photographs. Photographs almost look like poetry in stone, and that one led to the other. And the book in hand.
Yeah. So there's a special intersection, right, between the sculpture and dance and Indian art and culture, where they narrate a lot of stories, tales of heritage, and also spirituality, right? So how can these ancient temple sculptures inspire someone to delve so much deep into Bharatanatyam?
Oh, it's again a very loaded question.
Yeah.
Let me try and get,
Sure.
let's break it down into what I would want to say.
Yeah.
So whenever we look at these sculptures which goes back in time, they're almost like they're talking to you. So
Yeah.
I was pretty envisaged on a journey as to what the sculptors would have had in front of them for them to visualize what they sculpted in stone, which I kept talking about as poetry in stone.
Yeah.
Delving more into it,
Yeah.
5 temples across the country which I went, they had most of what the Bharatanatyam related Karanas were. So that was the start.
And these sculptures are very mesmerizing, right? And what is that it influenced your interest in Bharatanatyam?
I can't dance. So normally it's like those who can't learn, teach.
Yeah.
So the adage goes, and I just started getting interested into these sculptures which have a very deeper sense of cultural connect with the Indic traditions. The poetry in stone was almost set to motion in my visualization, and I thought there should be something more written about these sculptures which translates into the dance form it is.
And what happened when you saw these sculptures in these temples?
Uh, I was literally taken back in time,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
the Brigadeshwara temple if we look at. So that's like 1010. And then at the epitome of his career, here is a big ruler or an emperor of those times who basically thought it should be made available to the common masses because the temples would be the places where all of these social norms and all of these will come together for people to aggregate or congregate.
Yeah.
And these sculptures, there are about 81 of them at the Brigadeshwara temple.
Oh, that's massive. Yeah.
So that's kind of a thing that we saw. So we thought that literally stood out to me. Out of the 108 Karanas, 81 you could actually see and count it. And we were just lucky to go inside the temple as well.
Oh, that's a huge number, right? And what was your fascination when these sculptures evolved?
So the fascination of a sculpture evolving is almost like a child with a box of chocolates. I kept delving more into it and started learning more. And that was the journey, which basically is not something which happened in one visit,
Yeah.
but is a sequence of about 5 years of research and
Wow.
a visit to the temple.
Okay. And how did learning Bharatanatyam, all of these learnings, affect your connection with your heritage?
So something which I learned is maybe I was not doing things right in the course of the type of times. I would get distracted. I would not even be able to concentrate on one piece and work. And then it took me some time. It literally dawned into me that for somebody to come up with one sculpture, the amount of time and years, the patience.
Yeah.
So that helped me understand and appreciate the deepness or the cultural depth that India as a country brings together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that was pretty much the trigger point for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did you feel when these sculptures began to find their expression through dance?
Okay, again a brilliant
I
question.
know.
So I try getting
Yes.
these pieces from almost everyone where we have had this book
Yeah.
given. They said, okay, you are a CPA, why are you doing something in
I
sculpture
know,
or
exactly.
in Bharatanatyam?
Yeah.
So the idea was, as I wanted to learn more, I started watching a lot of these dancers, and we were just lucky to see a generation of dancers in our own particular part. So the ability to dwell into it and relate the sculptures to the dancers, especially doing those poses, that just fascinated.
Yeah. So in every step in Bharatanatyam, right, they pay homage to all of these silent sculptures. So what is that? How do you view this journey?
Oh, that's again a brilliant one. So if you look at a Bharatanatyam, when the Pushpanjali happens,
Yeah.
the first
First.
part of any dance,
That's right.
it's like you're invoking the gods. In fact, they invoke blessings of Mother Earth on whom they're basically going to use the place to
Place.
dance.
Yeah.
And then obviously the offering of the flowers
Yeah.
to the Ishta Devata, as they
Yeah.
would call it, or Nataraja.
Yeah.
That's basically the one. So that very part of being oneness, it's more like saying, it's like the music and the singer becomes one. You're the dancer and the dance become one. It was just as mesmerizing on that from an experience perspective.
Yeah, brilliant. And how did your this academic pursuits further into understanding of Bharatanatyam? How did it happen?
Again, brilliant. So what happened is, when I started getting into these temple sculptures, because that was an origin from where my interest triggered, I started learning, reading Manmohan Ghosh's Natya Shastra. It's pretty much like 36,000
Yes,
verses, 36 chapters, and it's like a copious work. So it started telling me more about what life pieces were being demonstrated in the Natya Shastra. So it's like the science of dance. It's actually dramatics. Bharatanatyam is possibly the name which came up more like the early 1900s.
Yeah.
So that was one link to the other, and primary research was fantastic in that.
Okay. And that's brilliant to know about your journey and what your understanding to the link to the Bharatanatyam. So despite these existing works on Bharatanatyam, right, we still see there's some gap. And what is that needed to bridge this gap?
Oh, that's again a brilliant one. So I had the luxury of going through Padma Subramaniam's works, which was there. I went to the Library of Congress because this book was not available to be purchased online.
Okay.
And what I did find is Padma Subramaniam pretty much talks about the dance and the practices of it and the whole part of it. It started triggering in me that if we are just learning about the dance, we should know the origins of it.
Yeah.
So the origins of the dance takes us back to Nataraja, and then more research dealt more information. So that took me into the learning of the Vedic astronomy, and then the Nataraja iconography, whether it is the lepus for the Moilaka, and then Orion the hunter and the Mrigashirsha as the nakshatram. As we actually go through the chapters, maybe if you get a chance to talk more about it, we'll learn
Yeah,
more.
definitely we'll talk more about it. So with this background, coming to the question about the book, so what is that motivated you to envision such a book?
I didn't really know that this book was going to be so big. I honestly thought we'll possibly learn about the theory of Bharatanatyam, get some components which talks about the culture, which goes into the Guru Sishya Parampara. But my research, so there's some 40 primary research material in this.
Wow.
That went on to learning more about the Vedic astronomy, then the nakshatras, and suddenly found there is a science angle to it. Because it took me on a trip to Switzerland in summer.
Wow, that's nice.
The God particle, and there is a 6 foot tall Nataraja which has been donated by the Bharat,
Wow.
the BRC to them, and there is a God particle concept. And interestingly, all of these were way beyond just Bharatanatyam. So we said these should be codified, and we brought that also together into the book from a primary research perspective.
That's brilliant. I now understand how much of hard work has gone in to get this book for us. And what is that? What are your feelings about it? What is that you feel
Oh.
now that the book is launched?
So now that the book is launched, it's now, I think, a very heavy responsibility of trying to carry this across to the cultural diaspora which is available for Indians abroad or anyone who wants to know more about Bharatanatyam. I think as a country, our culture has so much to offer.
Absolutely.
We thought the best way was to present this book, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it as well until the way
Yeah, definitely. It's getting me more curious to understand rest of the chapters as well. And what is that you aim to achieve through this book?
Okay, I'm actually as confused as where I started when I started writing the book.
Okay.
We initially codified, we did a chapter of the table of contents, and we came up with something like 18 to 19 chapters.
Okay.
As we got into the details, I found a very interesting Bharatanatyam guru who's based out of Kuwait, and her name is Arundhati.
Okay.
She had come with some fascinating work. I think it was Kalba. So Kalba is the Kerala martial arts called Kalari with Bharatanatyam. So she used the words, half of the initial parts of the words, and came up with Kalba. And she's actually codified Kalba in a 5-year, 3-staged engagement. So I said, hey, we need to get that part of it into the book as well. And then there was so much of gratitude that came in from all the dancers who contributed for it.
Absolutely.
I felt it was my duty to engage with all the Bharatanatyam dancers who went on to contribute for it and write about their own journey. So that it becomes open to people. And this could be anyone's journey. For all, if you have a kid who basically is going to take up to dance, that would be one of those things as well.
Wow, this is getting me more curious. So what can the readers expect out of this book?
Okay. So there is about 4 or 5 themes in the book.
Okay.
So the part of the Bharatanatyam as we know it, right from the way we do the namaskaras, then the adavus, going up to the first stage performance of a Bharatanatyam dancer, which is the Arangetram, that's pretty much covered in a lot of the books that we have seen.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
And then I went on to the second theme, which is basically talking about the tradition that we have on the Guru Shishya Parampara. That's something we've done. Then we said it's our responsibility for any new person who wants to know more about India. It should be a comprehensive component. So that was one. So the book has got something for a Bharatanatyam dancer, for a Bharatanatyam teacher, for a person who is interested in learning more about the art, and this should be a wonderful gift to anyone who wants to learn and know Bharatanatyam, and we should introduce India through this Bharatanatyam book.
That's brilliant, and I think whoever is interested, it's getting them more curious to understand, I guess, about little more about the book. So I think we'll cover with the rest of the chapters. And what do you hope this book will become for the readers?
Oh, in fact, that's again a brilliant question. As we record this, I must tell you, this is the 22nd event which I finished attending yesterday. So my journey has surprised me as much. I did not expect this is so much of an overwhelming journey for me that I had to take a look at my own career options.
Wow.
And spend time to propagate what I started. So it's a huge responsibility, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it as we go.
Definitely we should talk more about it. And let's embark this journey together.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, alone, this is not going to be meant for me. Yeah. This has got to go way beyond.
Yeah. Thank you, Ram.
Thank you so much for it.